So, good evening, and this is how we start today's show with a very beautiful song from Fameye. It's called Praise. It's one song that inspires me a lot, and I believe inspires all of us here. I mean, when you listen to it and you understand the lyrics, it has a lot to touch on your own faith and your beliefs and everything. Hi, let me not say too much about it. Good evening, and thank you for being part of I've Been. Welcome to the show. It's a Monday, of course. You know we come your way with the lounge. Let me start encouraging you already to join us on all our social media platforms at ETV Ghana. Today, what we'll be discussing is very, very important. It has to do with domestic violence, but this time around, against the men. Let me not say it louder. Against the men. Yes. So, but we are not there yet. When we start, I'll tell you who and who will be discussing the entire thing with me. But something beautiful I need to talk to you about. You know Kowansa. Those of you who don't know Kowansa, he's 81 years old. He's played a very important role in the movie filmmaking industry in Ghana. Not just filmmaking, even when it comes to television. You know what television means? Make believe, right? Yes. So he's played a key role in that entire industry. And today he's 81 years. We want to dedicate just this little part of the show to celebrate him. Please watch this.
Today we celebrate a living legend, Mr. Kwanzaa, whose impact in the Ghanaian creative arts industry is unmatched. His passion for Ghana and Africa has defined his artistic career as a filmmaker, writer, director, producer, designer, and now a museum creator. He was brought up in a strict home and taught to be strong and artistic. From this creative milieu, he went on to become a textile designer. Carl studied theatre design in London and thereafter graduated from the American Academy of Dramatic Arts in the United States of America. He returned home to contribute to the film and creative arts industry in Ghana. His first film, Love Brewed in the African Port, earned an immediate popular and critical acclaim throughout English-speaking Africa. Despite all the awards and the success, it will be nearly 10 years before Ansah could complete his next major film project, the ambitious Heritage Africa 1989. Yet again, the film was widely acclaimed and awarded. Besides working in various fields such as textile design, set designer for films such as I Told You So, and later making a career as a private filmmaker which has earned him many awards over the decades, he has been a strong advocate for African arts, especially working to improve funding and distribution of films within Africa. Even on the 8th floor, Kwanzaa's passion for his country, the African continent, and his belief in the black race has inspired him to create his latest baby, Bisa Brewa Museum. The museum, situated at Nkuntumpo, 2nd B in the western region of Ghana, is his contribution to preserving African history, heritage, and values. The museum also sheds light on Africa's illustrious heroes whose struggle and ingenuity contributed to world civilization both on the continent and in the diaspora. The museum enlightens, inspires, and emboldens our younger generation to rise up and do better. It is important that we celebrate our legends and heroes whilst they are alive. We choose to celebrate legends in the Western region as the best comes from the West.
What's your favorite music now? I mean, song now, if it's being played. What's your favorite now? Not back in the day, now.
Memabo Muano Mreye Maloko
Happy birthday to you, Uncle Kwanzaa. We wish you a long life in good health. As we celebrate a real legend in the Western region, whilst he is alive, let's enjoy a weekend of love brewed in the African port. His
All right, so happy birthday to you. I call him Uncle Cole. Uncle Cole, you've done very well. You've played your role. You've mentored a lot of people, and you're still doing the same. 81 is no joke. To have gone round the sun for 81 good times, it's no joke. Congratulations to you, and a big happy birthday to you. And oh, you said your favorite song is what? Majesty and Abo. Hey, Uncle Cole. Yeah, some more. Anyway, so like I said from the start, we have dedicated the very first part. But I said what we are going to be discussing is very, very important. It's something that most men have been silent. In fact, society is actually very silent on that. But today we want to speak more on that. Let me take my first break. When I'm back, I'll introduce my guest and then we go straight to the discussions. Please stay with us. So welcome back. If you're just joining us, we are in the lounge about to start our discussions. I'm here today with some usual faces you may already know, but I still need to tell you who they are. I'm here with Dr. Isaac Newman Arthur, a medical doctor and a psychologist. Doc, Akwaba, I say me who the whole year or
As well. No, maybe.
maybe, yeah. Are you looking sharp though?
Thank you. It means you're a bad friend.
Oh,
Because if you
Doc.
have not seen me the whole year.
Doc, it is not me. Oh. It is not me. It's the IMF. Oh. It's the IMF. All right. I'm also here with another very good friend of ours. That's Skofri Nanayeboa. He's a transformational coach and trainer. Skofri, Akwaba, Obemi, let me give you Boza. Guys, how are we?
And I'm for Jesus.
It used to be Thursday. Now it's Monday. So I won't be asking you how has the week been so far. But I'd rather ask you how was your weekend? How was your weekend, Skofri?
Well, it was solemn, calm. I did not have the luxury. I've started an upgrade in executive and leadership coaching.
Nice.
So my class starts at 11 p.m. and closes at 6 a.m.
Yeah.
So it's not a joke for me.
So the weekend has been taken.
Oh, it's gone. 11
Sorry.
p.m. to
So
the
no
next
fufu-
day.
no fufu
The next
for you.
day, 6 a.m. So we are pushing it.
No fufu for you.
No, for the sake of humankind.
Dog, your weekend, was it taken as well?
Well, it was cool.
It was
I
cool,
had
eh?
some meetings here and there, but
No, good for you.
it was.
I don't envy you.
Well, so like I said from the start, this is something quite sensitive. It's something that a lot of men go very quiet on. We are discussing domestic violence against men. It's more like a challenge, but we are usually silent about it. That's what we are discussing today. Join us on all our social media platforms, like I mentioned earlier, at ETV Ghana on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, at ETV Ghana. Sorry, you can be part of this. Also, the phone lines will be even open from the start. I know why we are opening the phone lines. No, sorry, the WhatsApp numbers are even going to be open from the start. There's a reason. I'll tell you before we leave here. 0555 020, sorry, 2222054. 02022222054. And so join us. Begin to send us your comments, your questions when Doc and Skofri begins to speak. And then we'll just make sure that they hear what you have to ask. And penny for Akwaba once again.
Yeah.
So domestic violence, most of the time I hear it amongst domestic violence and the women are this, but I'm hearing that they are beating, okay, let me not say they are beating the men. This time around, domestic violence against the men. Is this something that's really happening?
Yeah, well, I think generally it's the noise we make about it. Yeah, I think partly I blame the media because the media is the voice for nations.
That they are
So,
not talking for the men.
yes, we really not talking for the men. Probably it's an issue we really don't talk about, but it's there because in some countries you may find it being about 1 per 8 women abused. Some 1 in 8, 1 out of 8 men abused. Others will even put it as low as 1 out of 3. In Ghana, some statistics may show that up to about 20%, of men would experience some domestic violence, in their lifetime, and women may be about 30 to about 40. But any figure you hear anywhere is underreporting. Underreporting because a lot more will not report because of 2 things. One, maybe he would add a lot about the societal perception, but there are 2 kind of arguments against even the talking about it.
Yeah.
One, anybody who starts talking about it is perceived to be anti-feminist.
Okay.
So the fact that I'm talking about something that has to do with men and abuse, you are seeing that it is a way to, downplay the impact of abuse in women by talking about what happens in men. The second is that, okay, if you talk about it amongst men, then it may be one of the ways to protect the real men from owning up to some of the things they perpetrate amongst women. So that kind of mindset especially in any social space, makes it very difficult for that discussion to happen or men to talk about. Again, too, in any abusive relationship, it is likely for the man to be seen as the aggressor and the woman not the aggressor. And women are seen as only a response to a man's aggression. So now a woman's abuse becomes a self-defense instead of perpetrating that of. So if you look at the I think one of the cases that got worldwide attention, I think Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, a lot of things came up. You may realize that there may be some abuses here and there, but the general perception and all the things that happened in court, was pointing more to the fact that she has been, the one who has been, for how do I even say it? If we talk about the majority of the abuse, maybe coming from her. Yeah. But you realize that most of the discussion, especially from her end, has to do with the fact that it was a defense to an abuse. So because of all those things, this kind of argument around it is very, very difficult. Some men are even afraid to report because when they report, they may rather be in trouble. Because of all that.
They are seen as even the stronger partner.
Yes. So that situation may prevent a lot of people. So anywhere you find, though it's very, very high, some will even put it at 1:1. Some countries, reportage may be 1:1. If you look at the percentages, all kinds of percentages, you realize that it's very, very close.
Very, very close.
Yes.
Scoffrey, is it happening? I mean, have you come close to such cases?
As for happening, let me even shift from the intimate partnership violence when it comes to, let's say, husband and wife or boy and girlfriend. That one is so common to want to discuss it, but let's bring it home.
Yeah.
Let's bring it to our environment. When you hear a man, what is your knowledge of who a man should be? When you hear a man, what is your consciousness of who a man should be? And when you hear about the human being, and there is a man factor involved, what is your insight of it? So let's pick it one by one. Between a boy and girl who have all committed an offense and a punishment of even caning is being enacted, check psychologically the strength that goes towards the guy, the boy.
And even the number of lashes.
Exactly.
Could be 12
the same
6.
crime, the same offense, and the one that goes to the lady. If you check how we evolved, we had sent our men at a very tender age, they are taught how to hunt. So they leave home very early to hunt.
Yeah.
Gradually we evolve in becoming communities. Then they start becoming the defenders of our communities. So the knowledge, the consciousness, the beingness of a man virtually is designed and programmed towards violence. But we don't think of the damage we do to the man or the boy from that end, for which, and the more we make them become like, okay, a hunter, they are the military end of our society, then we keep cutting them off from how we feel towards them. We cut the empathetic natural phenomenon we have neurologically towards men. So it is the reason why we don't want to talk about when men get violated.
Because we think they are violent already from scratch.
We've programmed them to be violent, so we have no empathy. We have no feeling for what a man suffers. And I've given you all the scenarios. We have no feeling. And the moment there is no feeling towards what a man will suffer, in even how they are raised, there is no way we want to put in Kunyami and Sa to talk about the hurt of men. There is no way we want to talk about when they are the victims of violence. Like you rightly put it, Doc, it's the moment you even want to step forward to go and report, then I will
That's the first question.
And
It is
interestingly,
assumed that you must have done something wrong.
exactly, for you, you deserve it.
But the woman doesn't deserve it.
No. And painfully,
Yeah.
oh, it's patriarchy. What is so sad is that patriarchy was not designed by men alone. Society shaped patriarchy. And you know, the more a man hunts, he also loses a part of himself where feeling comes in. The more a man goes to war, he also loses a part of himself or his humanity.
Yeah.
So when he comes home, he's more or less equally to an animal.
All the emotions are gone.
Yes, he also doesn't feel anymore.
Yeah.
But in whose interest, in whose stead was he unleashed? For the society. So it's the same way in the balance. Because we don't feel for men, we are unable to discuss the hurt and the trauma of men. I was discussing this matter with my former director of Institute of Healing of Memories in South Africa, because we had a project called gender-based violence, hands off men. Then I asked him a simple question that, okay, we are talking about the victims. Nobody's talking about the programming the perpetrators are put through by society. The program men are put through by society. When he loses his job, the burden is only his. When it is putting the family together, the burden is only his. So the same thing that, for instance, a woman gets unemployed, the way we want to feel for him and stuff, when a guy gets unemployed, that same feeling is not there. So that is why I'm bringing the discussion to the point that even before we get to the intimate partner violence, look at it from the bigger picture, society, how we are violating our young boys even before they become men. And I've given an example. As parents, if your daughter and your son commit the same offense and you want to give them 1 or 2 lashes, check the strength that goes towards the son versus that goes towards the daughter. That is the first violation that takes place in our society. That is the first violation. And we are all guilty of that. Yet we keep quiet. And the more we do that to them, they themselves, have you posted anything on a guy sharing his pain online and you find equal men mocking him, that he even shared his pain? That is one. Then 2, the moment the guy also shared his pain, most of the women goes there and say, your fellow man did this to me, so more or less you deserve what the woman is doing to you. This is how we are saying, we hit you in the stomach, don't complain. We slap you in the face, don't complain. Then we will come out and say, men don't share their problems. Ask Doc, in the right vulnerable space, men will cry like babies. In the right vulnerable space, they will tell their story. But how many vulnerable spaces do we even have? How many of your kind are available in psychology? The whole Ghana, how many are there to our population? I don't want to go into statistics. It's painful. So we are naturally or societally or socially guilty of how we have violated men. The last one I want to cite. When the girl is at 9 and get violated by a guy, how do we call it?
Rape.
It's even defilement.
Defilement.
Okay. Please, when it's in the opposite, an elderly woman plays around with a little boy for him to get erection and she plays with the guy. How many cases of this have you heard that is called defilement?
Doc, how many such cases? Untibi Krada.
I don't know.
So it means we don't even talk about it. It doesn't even get there.
So this is what I'm saying, because we have no feeling towards our sons. The violation, I've not even brought it home. I'm saying the community. I've given a typical example. I don't know, maybe the lawyers can send you a message and find out that when an elderly woman is found toying with 7-year-old, 8-year-old boy, and because the pen driver has got a mind of his own, it will come up, and she plays around that young man. And a lot of young men got violated by this means. And the way I am so passionate speaking against taking the womanhood away from a woman or a young girl when you do that too, is the same passion I'm speaking, because a lot of the damage occurs in such space that we don't talk about. So societally.
Interesting. I mean, this is even getting deeper than I thought. So let me try to make it a bit lighter. What what is influencing this violence against men? What is influencing it? Is it the fact that, okay, for example, I mean, before we started, I got a text, somebody saying that, look, I think this is caused by the seen equality that women are, or I mean, and I asked him why, and he said it's obvious because they see it as a payback time now. In the past, they were more like slaves to men, but now there is that equality, so they can as well, afford to misbehave. I'm like, oh, well, not. I'm just using these words, but that's what the person
Unfortunately,
actually
we,
said.
we,
But this
sh- we
was the
should look
person's
at it from the
reasons.
fact that it's a
So
human phenomenon.
what is influencing this violation or this violence against men?
Crime is or violence is actually a human phenomenon. Our neurology or our human makeup, anger is a good emotion. It is the wrong application of anger that makes it. That is why sometimes I keep saying.
But Scoffrey, when you are angry, where is the right or wrong application again?
No. Anger is good for your body. It
Uh-huh.
expresses even to check your boundaries. It's for our own interest. It's good.
Uh-huh.
But it is the storing of it, the massaging of it, trying to give it meaning, trying to give it interpretation, then it causes you want to become violent. So we are not even discussing women who have disorders. That one is doctor's case. I won't go there. The disorders one there, that if you dare deal with a narcissistic woman, they are deadlier and dangerous than narcissistic men. But because it happens in a feminine body, we don't even want to look at it. So it is a natural phenomenon. Then also, we all have propensity to be violent. Every human being have got it. So I will take it from that angle. The way some men are just simply violent, so are some women. The difference will come in somebody's one will not be physically. And the most damaging violence against a man is psychological and emotional. It shreds men apart.
It hits harder on our
That
egos,
is
eh?
how come there are more men alcoholics than women. Because he won't be able to talk about it, so he'll consume substance abuse. It's more prevalent with.
Yeah.
So it's just that let's set that bar straight. Violence is not peculiar to a gender. It's a human phenomenon. Or anger or whatever that brings those things is human phenomenon. But so far as it is occurring in certain dimensions that we are afraid or society don't want to talk about it, that is why I'm concerned.
Doc, what is influencing it?
Yeah, so
What is making it happen?
So stretching from what he said, like he said, women and men, they express anger differently. A man is likely to use some physical means than a woman. Some research has even shown that even throwing stuff, you may have even more women throwing stuff than men, because they may not be able to hit. They may want to throw stuff, right? But so violence is something. What do you call it? Anger, and how to manage your anger and stuff like that is something that is normal, for all populations. But the expression of it is different in different, whether male or female. Then again, when it comes to intimate partner violence, there are some risks that I want to talk about. One, anybody who has been abused before is likely to abuse. So you realize that majority of them who may abuse their partners may have gone through some abuse
in the past.
Either they themselves were abused or they are abusing others. So if a guy has been abused before, the likelihood that they would abuse or they would be abused is higher. So childhood trauma and abuse can influence that too. Short-term relationships, if you have a long-term kind of commitment relationship, your likelihood of abuse is lower than the short-term.
Okay.
And you may have marriage kind of relationships may be safer than this arranged kind of partnership kind of relationships. Because sometimes when there is some solid commitment, especially between families and everybody is watching, it's likely to be a check on itself.
Yeah.
But when that commitment is not there, I found something very, very interesting, that for some countries, the higher the level of education, the higher the abuse.
The higher the level of education, the higher the abuse.
Because they may create a disparity in terms of economic gains, that feeling of I want to control you may be there. And again, they are likely to report than those who are in a low socioeconomic situation. So that is also there. And in some communities, the lower the education, the higher the violence. Then again, too, when it comes to women abusing men, you may find that a woman may simply abuse a man because they do not understand or meet their needs.
Okay.
They are not listening to them. So it's a way to get the attention of the other partner. And also, when some women abuse because they are insecure in themselves.
Okay.
So they may want to have some level of control. Violence or abuse is just having control and power over the other person.
Yeah.
So to be able to have that control or power over the other person, it may be there. Then also when there is disparity between economic gains, especially when the woman may have an upper hand, it may serve as a source of abuse because the man may not have that control in terms of dealing with issues at home and the responsibilities at home. Then if they also have some mental health issues, it can also influence what you call abuse, some personality problems, antisocial kind of personality problems, and all those ones. Then again, too, depending on their religion and culture, some cultures, actually, what do you call it, promote abuse. And there are some people, when you don't abuse them, it's a sign that you don't love them.
So you have to abuse them.
There was something, I think someone did.
And so what, the women have to abuse their men to show that they love
yes,
them?
and even both ways.
Both ways.
Both ways.
I know about the other, but I'm wondering how the
there are
other
some
part
cultures
operates.
like that.
No, let me hold you on this one. We'll come back to it. If you're just joining us, we are still on the show. We are discussing domestic violence against men this time around, not women. And it is real, it is happening. Stay with us. We'll be back shortly after this break. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, we are in the studio discussing domestic violence against men. Yes, they are beating the men. They are abusing us, and we have to say it. So that's what we are discussing today. Doc, Scoffrey.
The way you're mentioning our names. Hey!
I mean, it bothers me a lot that they are beating the men. Shouldn't I say it? Are they not beating the men? Let's not pretend it's not happening. It is happening. Doc, what types or levels of abuse exist?
Okay, so usually domestic violence, people focus more on physical abuse. When the person maybe hits you, shoves you, throws something at you, that can cause a physical injury.
Yeah.
So that one is there. It can also be psychological or emotional. And also it can be economical, where they use some financial situations as a tool. It can even be sexual. But sexual
abuse.
Of course.
Yes.
Women abusing men sexually.
Yes.
Of course.
Interesting.
So the physical may be on top. You may have some psychological or verbal. Women are likely to use psychological or verbal abuse.
Yeah.
Where it affects your emotions. You become very sad, worried, anxious. You become unhappy about certain things. Then also can be sexual, but sexual may be at the lower end than all the others.
Because I feel that abuse might be nice.
So that is societal.
So it's societal.
That's
Because
societal.
if I'm given the opportunity to shred the neurological benefit of sex to our human body, you will get to know that it is equally an abuse. That is how come, even in law, if one party after 6 months fail to have sex with the other, it can be a grounds for divorce.
Scoffrey, it's okay. Let's now I understand where we are going to.
Exactly.
But there's something I wanted to find out. How are you able to tell, the warning signs of a possibly abusive woman?
Well,
What do you look out for?
I always tell young people when I get opportunity to talk about marriage and stuff. The first sign I keep saying is that okay, so if not anything at all, observe the family she's coming from.
Okay.
It's,
Okay.
it's, as for the disorders, I'll leave it to Doc. But if you want to know that what you are getting into, you could be violated and abused, observe the family she is coming from. You can go into a family and realize that when women are talking to their brothers, are talking to their uncles and stuff, they are very violent in words towards them. Because perhaps if you check the cycle of the family, most of the men are not economically so high there. So the women who are a bit sharp and stuff,
They seem to be on top.
So they control and dictate the pace.
Yeah.
Check that one. That is one. Two, pay attention to their history. Because in what we do, there's something called neuro-linguistic programming. There's something called neuro-linguistic. This, our body stores all our emotions. Call it mapping our patterns. And it will deploy itself through languaging.
Okay.
So observe the languaging. Pay attention to when they are talking about how they grew up. Pay attention. Don't let love cloud your mind. Don't let her buttocks or her breast
That one is just common sense living.
distort you, because a lot of times all these slip through the neuro linguistics. In our language, it slips through. It comes a word after another, but you don't pay attention.
Okay.
Then the third thing I would say is look at their personal or interpersonal relationship with other people. If they lack father figure, there is a way they respond. If they lack father figure growing up, there is a way they behave. So if they are looking for instance, a father in you, and you want to be a husband, it can irritate her. Because the love that desires from a father is not the same that a husband gives.
Yeah.
So if she did not have a father figure growing up, and she's looking for, sometimes it's even the motivation to why she married you. She's looking for that father.
She
father
doesn't want any soft.
So it is not. It's so she's not looking for a husband.
Not husband.
But
not
it takes Doc and Co to really trace and find out what is lacking. Then also the dispensation where the misappropriation of I know my rights. The misapplication. Because we have something called concept, implication, and application, CIA, we use in coaching. So the concept that this environment, I need to prove that it's my dispensation. When it is wrongly applied. It creates some of these things. Offsets, Doc cited an example, and I want to put it. A woman can insult you 3 million times, run her mouth at you. You dare do the same running mouth. How do we classify such a man? Okay, so in the heat of argument, and the woman physically attacks you, it is designed society by social norms that you don't respond.
Why?
No, but hold on, I'm bringing the point. You don't respond as a man. All right? But if a man expresses violence in that same manner, that's what Amber will say, I defended myself. And it is accepted like that. So if you check, it goes back to what I'm talking about, that we have programmed our boys wrongly. And we have created a certain stigma towards men wrongly. So if a guy is vulnerable even to cry, how do we classify him? Then Then we take it into our marriages. So the emotional part is what is even torturing. And because we've cut our empathy towards men as society, we don't want them to show it.
Yeah.
And so they end up in bottles, they end up in drugs. And when they go to some extent, they end up in prison. That is how come there are more men in prison when it comes to crime of this nature than women. It's because of what we do to our men.
To our men, even from the start.
Absolutely.
Doc, so I know you, I mean, from your field, you meet, both of you, you meet a lot of people come to seek medical attention all the time. How are you able to tell if a man is being abused?
Well, it's difficult to tell if they don't talk about it.
Sure.
But usually, especially if it's physical abuse, then they may come with some physical injuries.
Oh, okay.
When you inquire.
But you can't even say, my wife beat me.
Well, it depends on how you interview them. If you're able to do a good interview, they will do so, and they may come with something else, not that particular complaint.
Yeah.
So maybe the person comes, they have some depression or anxiety, or some stress-related things, or even they have addictions, addictive behaviors, or even some even use illicit sex, as a way to cope with abuse and those things.
Yeah.
And so when they may come with something else, and based on that, if you do your interviews, you can
determine.
find. But I think briefly, let me quickly, if someone, woman is abusing, some of the symptoms I think you mentioned, let me quickly, I listed one or two, let me quickly mention them. Yes. So when the person, it can be as simple as the person stopping you to see your family. They may act jealous or possessive, or constantly accuses you of being unfaithful, calls you names, insults you, or puts you down. Sometimes even prevents you from going to work or school or somewhere you want to go because they want to have some level of control. Then tries to control how you spend money, when you go, where you go, or even what you wear. All these petty things are part of the abuse.
I mean, there are signs that you should.
That you have to actually use. Gets angry when the person is not around, in terms of when they are drinking alcohol or something, and tries to control whether you can see a healthcare provider or not. Because they may actually take every step to prevent you from seeking help, so that they are not exposed. Threatens you with violence or a weapon, hits or kicks or shoves or slaps or something, or chokes you, and forces you to even have sex or engage in sexual acts against your will, and blames you for his or her violent behavior. Usually, most of the people who abuse would actually blame the abuser for their own actions, and that can help. Or threatens to tell a friend or family member or colleague or something about something that you have not done.
So basically, there's a lot of signs that should obviously give you the warnings or the red flags even
so
before
all
you
these
get into
things
one.
may be going on.
Right. That's quite clear. Well, please stay with us. We're going to go on our very last break. When we are back, the phone lines will be open. You get a chance to call and also ask Doc and Scofrey questions. Or you can, in fact, if you are being abused, you can feel free and tell us. We'll find a way to come and help you not get out, but slow down the abuse. Please stay with us. We'll be back shortly. Come back if you are joining us. We are still here. I'm here with Scofrey and Doc, and we are discussing domestic violence against men. The phone lines are open. The number is 0555-657278. I repeat, 0555-657278. Feel free and call us. Let's hear from you. Would love to do that. Doc, when a man is being abused, what should the man do?
There are 4 levels. Let me quickly touch on. 1, you need to recognize there's an abuse. So you would have to come to the point to clearly define what is happening.
Okay.
Until you do that, you will be in that ignorance, and that can really affect you. So I recognize that there is abuse. Let it look like that without defending it. 2, don't take the blame. Don't think that you are responsible for what is happening. Because when you take the blame, then it will stop you from actually seeking help. 3, break the cycle. And abuse goes into cycle. There's tension that builds up. The abuse happens. Then there is what we call the honeymoon phase, where they come and apologize and do everything right. Then the next...
Doc, there's a caller. Let me hold you on briefly. Good evening, caller. Your name and where you're calling from?
I'm Richard, calling from Ho.
All right. Richard, please let's hear from you.
Please, this is the first time watching your show.
Okay.
I'm very interested in the show.
Okay.
And what people are talking about, it's a very, very, very serious issue.
It's a serious issue. Richard, are you being abused?
Yeah. Is it?
Are you being abused?
Serious one. Oh, serious one. Oh,
serious one, eh? Okay.
Serious one. This lady I met back in SHS. We started dating. Oh, seriously, we started dating, and as time goes on, I continue with her. I'm not a guy that is that much. I'm not a by heart guy.
You're not
so
a
if
by
I'm
heart
dating
guy.
a lady,
you try to be nice.
I'm a nice guy. I'm a serious guy.
Yeah.
So I started dating with her, and we continue. I have 2 kids with her.
Oh, wow.
So after that, I got married to her. But right now, as things going on, marriage, I was okay with my wife. But when she let me say, she started visiting her mom after our marriage, after I got married to her. So visiting her mom like 2, 3, 4 times. That was where the problem started coming in. So as I'm speaking to you now, I traveled to Togo. By the time I will come back, my wife left.
Interesting.
She left behind me. As I'm speaking to you now, she's at Accra, staying with her mom.
I see.
I don't
That's
know.
that's quite
It's
disturbing.
a serious issue.
It is indeed. It is, Richard, and we are not happy about it. We hope that we can find a way to help you resolve also. I mean, take care of
It's very
this.
very serious one.
All right, Richard. Thank you for contributing. Thank you for telling us what the situation is. At least this goes to confirm the fact that it is happening. It is happening out there. Thank you so much for calling us this evening, Doc.
I said first, recognize that it's abuse and label it as such.
Just as he has recognized.
Yes, don't take the blame, because the abuser would always make you feel guilty about what is happening.
Yeah.
3, break the cycle. Then the final one has to do with create a safety plan. What it means is that you need to say that if this happens, this is what I'm going to do to be able to deal with the problems. And one of the effective ways is to speak to a professional.
Okay.
When you speak to a professional like a counselor, maybe what do you call it, a psychologist, or even a medical professional, or even someone who is older and can handle issues like that. It may not be a friend or a family member. Those people, they really can cover things up. But if you speak to a professional, I think they should be able to help you out of it. Yes.
Scoffery, I'll give you the last bite.
Well, I think all have been said by Doc, and it is fundamental.
Scoffery, there's a caller. Let me pick that and then you take the final. Good evening, caller. Your name and where you're calling from?
Okay, I'm at the again from Serbia.
Please come again.
I'm at the again from Serbia.
Okay, please let's hear you.
Yeah. Okay. The whole issue is, I think these ladies of today are some kind of wavy. I don't know.
Some kind of wavy.
Because if you're not careful and you come across with one, or maybe have relationship with money, that they are dead. Some of them, you advise them, you'll be like, okay, I'm cool with it. But the next day, you see different challenges. Yeah, there was a lady that I dated. You almost got married. It got to a time she was abusing me verbally. I'll speak to her. She will be like, am I always trying to tell her that like she's not right or what? I don't know.
I see.
I will talk to her today to tell me that okay, she's not going to do that again. She abused me every day. I'll talk to her. I'll call the mom and tell the mom that that's what the sister has been doing to me. But all what she told me, she has not done anything to me. She has not abused me. She has not insulted me. Here and there. I was like, okay, then I have to think of way. It's a means of getting out of the relationship or working out. She will come again and beg me that what happened is not going to repeat itself again.
It won't happen again.
Like, okay, yeah. But she did that continuously. So I want call her and ask her that why she doing what she if she's not interested in me. She just let me know so that I'll walk out.
Well.
Yeah, but all what happened was she like how do you call it? She provoked me to the extent that I asked her that. Does she know that?
I think the story. I mean, we kind of get the story already. Obviously, confirming the fact that the abuse is there and it's happening. But what we can do is perhaps get on our page, send us the entire story, so that we can pick it up and see how we can help you possibly solve it or get out of it, if that's very fine with you. Scoffery. Okay, I'm sure we lost him at some point. Just touch on it and then let's.
What I want to appeal.
Yeah.
To every man is that being vulnerable and allowing yourself to express being hurt
is
wisdom.
Okay. Being vulnerable,
Being
allowing
vulnerable
yourself
and allowing
to
yourself
experience
to express
or express the
hurt
hurt.
as a result of violence
Yeah.
is wisdom. It is
Okay.
human. It is godly. It is spiritual. It is good for you. So don't let anybody make you feel you are not a man enough.
Don't be
In
boxed
fact,
into any
that
corner.
is the evidence that you are a human being and a
Okay.
man.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Scofrey. Thank you very much, Doc. Unfortunately, time couldn't permit us to do more, and we are sure we'll be back next week with another exciting episode. Maybe if my producer thinks we have to do this again, we would. But if not, we definitely will come back. We'll continue on our pages. We'll share all the thoughts, all the solutions to some of the questions that you ask as well. Stay with us and through the evening. Have a very good night. We'll be back next week with another episode. Please stay blessed.